We're good.
You're recording?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Do it, Shelby. Shelb.
So, do you think Anakin Skywalker was actually the chosen one?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Absolutely.
Well, it was proven.
Oh. I know where she's going. I know where she's going with this question. No, I know where this question's going.
He is.
I know. It's not my first time hearing this question. That's how I know where this question's going.
Because he didn't like fulfill like his duty as. Well, I mean, in a way, he did bring up balance.
You're saying because of the sequels? Because of the sequels?
No, absolutely not.
What? Where are you going with this?
All right.
I think it is
so here goes based off of things that I've heard for that question specifically.
Go ahead.
So, in my honest opinion, Anakin is the chosen one because he did bring balance to the Force. He was how he was meant to bring balance to the Force. It made it 2 against 2, not 2 against however many. Now, people say Luke is actually the chosen one because of the sake.
No.
Wait. Hear it out. Because of the sake, he truly brought the balance. And I mean, it depends on what the truth, prophecy said. Because if you're talking about, again, technically bringing balance to the Force, Anakin, in a sense, again, in my opinion, is. Because he brought it back where it's equal. And he did exactly, and just the prophecy was misread by the Jedi because obviously they're looking at it as in their way. Now, when you put that argument up, Luke truly brought it back balanced because it was only the Force.
But he balanced it again. Not because the balance brought to the Force, it was never guaranteed that it was going to last forever.
I think that Luke maintained that balance, but I think the balance was brought by Anakin.
Okay, so here's what happened. Definitely. Anakin brought the balance in Return of the Jedi, right? And then the sequel trilogy comes along, and the balance is off kilter, but I wouldn't say it's completely off balance. Like, it's not... How do I put it? Like, it's not obviously in one or the other's favor. Even though the First Order was led by Kylo Ren, he was literally the only Force-sensitive person on, I guess, the bad guy's side, and then Rey was the only Force-sensitive on the quote-unquote good side. Besides Leia, maybe, but she didn't really use the Force at all. But I think there was still balance in the Force. I guess you could argue that Luke kind of maintained the balance or brought it back, if you go that far, but you could also say that Rey did and that Luke guided her.
Nah.
Either way, I think that it's undisputable that Anakin was the chosen one and for sure brought balance back to the Force.
I think the amount of fan service that was done in the last 3 films, the last 2 especially, it kind of ruined everything that the original prequel or the original trilogy was setting up.
But I think they're bouncing back from it pretty well right now.
Well, yeah, but I agree. I think there was, with at least again we're talking about the sequels here. They try to hit the OGs with Force Awakens, almost making a complete copy of New Hope, but with smaller tweaks. Let's just put it out there.
Last Jedi is my favorite of the trilogy.
I don't know. I really did like Last Jedi. No, again, I really did. But I also like Rise of Skywalker. Again, I didn't like Force Awakens. I did and I didn't. I liked it because it was new, obviously. I liked seeing all the new features. I love seeing the updated stormtroopers.
It was exciting because it was a new Star Wars movie.
Yes, and you've seen it, and you know what's funny? I love hearing it this way. Seeing the new stormtroopers in the First Order, it was like if Apple took over the Empire, which literally makes sense. It's funny. It's actually quite. But look at them. They literally look so high tech. They don't have the skull face anymore. They have a much, you know what I mean? Like they're cleaner, everything. Like it just is crazy.
It's minimalist. It's
The clones look highest tech out of them all.
Well, I don't know because I think the First Order troopers, like to tell you the God honest truth, think about it. Like high tech, they had the white and black blaster. Like you knew it was an E11 blaster, but it was white and black. It was different. And then you had again the new visor, the whole aspect that it continued. It wasn't like, you know, it connected all the way around, like to the right side and down, and you know, you just seen it looked cleaner. They fixed it.
It felt more like if you look at the original trilogy, Stormtroopers. If you look at the prequel, clones, right? It's just, I mean, for the most part, to me at least, they just look like guys in costumes. They don't look like.
I think they're sick,
okay.
especially
Obviously, when you bring that conversation up, yes, the Stormtroopers we're talking about was what. The first movie was 77.
Of course, yes, 77.
Like, you know what I mean? So obviously you're making do with their time. And I think one problem is, and again, I love George Lucas's like ideals, what he did with the movie. I'm never gonna say otherwise. But when he recreated Star Wars, let's just say, because he went to a prequel and obviously had much more technology and everything. As much as he was supposed to go back in time, it looked like he went forward.
And obviously that's problem.
And obviously, yeah, it is a problem because obviously he wanted to show you what Star Wars was meant to be, and it's awesome. Again, you're telling me when you first watched Phantom Menace, you seen this Naboo starships, and you did not fall in love. It was beautiful, beautiful.
You know, 1999, like the visuals and the effects and all that, like they were pretty solid.
Think about how much money he had, though. Yeah. Like, he had all the money saved up from...
Yeah, he paid for it himself.
Holy
So, but no, absolutely. Like, I mean, you couldn't disrespect that. Because what did we see on screen, let's just say? And again, this is supposed to be futuristic. You had the TIE fighters, which look clean. I mean, that was awesome.
Dude, I love it.
But then you go and look at an X-Wing. The X-Wing look beat up. Why? Because, I mean, they're running off of... whatever they can purchase.
The Rebel Alliance is just whatever they can like
squander up. You know what I mean? Like so, yeah, it makes sense. And then even like their helmets, everybody had like dirty helmets or something. Like you've never seen a clean pilot helmet. Then look at the and then it's cool because they are realistically a rebellion. They are a militia group. Everybody's wearing different things. Nobody's uniform. And I think
Palpatine tried to undo everything that the Jedi ever had. Like, all the material items that they had, he either destroyed them, took them and made them his own in his own way, or locked them up in storage.
So, yeah, but that's the funniest thing. It's like when you're looking at them, and I think that's why a lot of people like it, is because they... And again, this is another thing from like Rex and Around. Again, I love that group, so a lot of this we'll mention a lot about them. But it's the rebellion. They were literally just guys that picked up a weapon and went, "Hey, I'm fighting for what I believe in," which is awesome. Awesome.
They were it was like a small group.
Yeah, anybody joined that group. You know what I mean? Now, you look at the Resistance. The Resistance are uniformed. They're not really a rebellion. And I'm glad, and I'm okay because they didn't take the name as rebellion. They took it as resistance. But the problem is they act exactly the same because then you break it down and they're not New Republic. You know?
But they're still small
but they're funded by the New Republic.
Yeah, but the Republic, like in the original trilogies, they had uniforms for like piloting and stuff. Like there comes a point where uniforms are something that just happens when your group gets big enough. But
like the pilots all had a uniform. Like you had the distinctive orange jumpsuit. Everybody knows that jumpsuit.
Yeah,
why?
And that's what I'm saying.
Because they're also they remember a lot of these guys came
order with order.
They what is it? They came from the Imperial Academy. They all went and learned to be a pilot there. And I mean that was like really the only way kind of how to. So obviously they would get uniforms from somebody, and especially you have Bail Organa as one of your, investment guys. Obviously he's going to give, I guess, one of the most important people when you're talking about a military rank. Pilots are up there because they're technically captains. So yeah, they're going to get a uniform. They're going to be recognizable. He's a pilot. End of story.
It seems like especially noticeable in like The Rise of Skywalker, when they're just kind of hanging out, and it's like literally just them. Like after the whole thing on Crate and everything, when they're just reduced down to like such a small group, and it's very casual, like the most casual you have ever seen. Like a group of, I guess you could put like warriors. And
I do kind of want to add to like the purpose of like the uniform for pilots, though. I think that was more so utility than anything else.
Yeah, you needed to survive like obviously the vacuum of cold and stuff like that. Right. So yeah, that does make sense. That
could be from like, you know, like a thrift shop, whatever.
Yeah,
the space equivalent would be.
That's what I'm saying. Like
flight suits. Those are flight suits, homie. You need those.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that's just something like one of those guys that invested money into it. It was like, hey, this is what I'm going to invest because, I mean, everybody's going to have this. Whatever. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that does make sense why, again, the pilots would have the same thing. But again,
you can go into battle naked. You can't go into space naked.
Yeah. So that was the only way they would invest is the pilots and the, you know, stuff like that. And yeah, the helmets, they all kind of also...
They didn't really help with anything besides the fact that they had the comms on there, but they still didn't really need. Like, I don't think they, considering the
visor. I mean, the visor's important.
Sometimes, yeah.
Because you're going across suns.
Anything to invest money in its accessories, like you gotta survive out there.
Yeah.
It's space.
But that was the only real requirement other than ships that they would need. Because everybody else, hey, you know, just, you have a shirt on your back, you have a backpack, we'll give you the weapon, now go.
And it's not like armor really helped any of the fucking stormtroopers to begin with. They were getting like...
Well, it depends on how you look at it.
I think that was just so that they weren't humanized. I think they didn't want people to look at them as people.
Well, that's a military aspect.
Yeah.
Your uniform. You're not an individual.
I think that's like, aside from that just being like the military, I think that's one of the geniuses of the Clone Wars. This is like kind of like an off-topic thing, but this is one thing that I've just praised since like the beginning of the show, is that they took characters that were purposefully made to be like, you know, not individuals, so it didn't feel bad when the good guys were killing them. And then they made us empathize with them and hear their stories. And
that's one of the coolest things that the Clone Wars did.
Really
I'm sorry,
yeah. So I have to commend Dave Filoni for that.
I mean, so here goes my thing. Just like obviously, as we're talking about this, like if you really kind of go based off, again, we're talking about extended universe stuff like that. Yeah, the stormtroopers never officially died. They were hurt. Like, I mean, it's the same thing as, you know,
stormtroopers or clones?
Junior, when did you know
both. Technically, the armor period. We're just talking about armor.
I think it's just interesting that it took a children's show to watch a clone actually die on screen.
Mm-hmm. No, that was not. Clone Wars was not a children's show.
Anything else?
No.
I mean, it was sometimes geared towards children, but it was very, very violent.
So when you bring. Like I said, when you bring up that conversation, again, when you break it down to extended universe, there wasn't enough... I wouldn't say the stormtroopers died as much as everybody puts it out. But again, we don't understand because George Lucas is never going to go back and tell you, yeah, these stormtroopers died. You know they got shot, cool. But again, if you break it down to what, you know, you get from books and however you really want to take it, what it was is that they would get hit. The armor would absorb the plasma beam, right? And it would spread to your whole body. Now, you would either be unconscious or hurt like hell. That was your two options. Now, are you alive? You're alive. Good for you. But you're hurting. You would, you're out of commission for, 2 days. Then, you get a new piece of armor. Hey, get back out there. That's how it worked. So, yeah, armor was literally a protective thing. It didn't mean that you were going to live. I mean, you know, if you did, good. You're going to have to push on for 2 days. You know, just go see the medic, hurry up, and then we're going to put you in a new set of armor, and you're going to continue your mission as you were, because you should be healed by then. That's how it's meant to be. But again, you can't say that either, because...
But also, I think The Mandalorian addresses this as well, when they have that sort of... He's like the empathizer, or sympathizer to, and he's still in the Empire, and he's like, oh, well, all those deaths on the Star Destroyer and on the Death Star, like, all those deaths, you don't feel bad about those? Like, those are precious lives.
I was just thinking that how they see the Death Star attacks as like the people in the Empire see that as literally like a terrorist attack. Like that's equivalent to like 9/11 to them. And
yeah,
it was.
I mean, it is. It literally is. At the end of the day, they're the government.
Twice.
They were the government.
And a militia blew up their government.
Like, yeah, that's literally in the definition of terrorism. What happened on screen? That's what happened.
And it didn't even really like it fixed things. For a bit, and then the First Order, because they didn't. I don't understand why they didn't consider the idea that like there would be people from the Empire wanting to bring it back and everything. Like that's the only hole that I see where like they were celebrating and stuff, but they forget that there's like 10 times the amount of Empire in like the whole galaxy. It's not just that one Death Star. Like, that's not their whole hub. I mean, it kind of was, but it was just a weapon. They just got rid of their weapon, and then they tried to rebuild it, and then they took it again, and then they built Starkiller, and then they destroyed that.
You see the chat, right? You see the chat? I love. So, dude just said, bruh, they deleted Alderaan first. Like, okay, when you put it that way, yeah, you're not wrong, but like the thing is, you.
Well, I'm not.
This is what you're talking about on screen,
but you're not talking about what happened in the Mandalorian too. Like the rebels are like, hey, what about Alderaan? Like they do mention that.
Well, yeah, but here goes my thing, and this is what I'm basically gonna try to like switch it up there. What I liked what he did for, well, let's say Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. What they did on Mandalorian was great because why? They showed humanity within the Empire. There's two sides of this war which was never expressed.
That's every point of view, every single like aspect of Star Wars.
They're great storytellers.
Life, fantastic storytellers, and it's not just like the good guys. It's not just our protagonists that we see the angle of. It's the fucking foot soldiers.
It's the fine line. It's like the fine line between them, like. Because they're obviously distinguishable, but you can see that you don't need to be Empire or Rebellion to be good or bad.
And it's not even just about the dichotomy between good and bad. It's just everyone doing their job, whether or not they realize that what they're doing is war.
And they touch on that with Finn too.
Every single aspect of war. It's not just, it's also like the villagers you see from the people who are just trying to live their life in peace, who are too poor to concern themselves with this war within the galaxy. And you see from every single angle, from pacifists to warriors to the foot soldiers. It's incredible.
Yeah, here goes my thing. I love exactly what you guys are saying. The storytelling, because now, again, we always, and I mean, it's like any movie. It's like if you go to Dragon Ball Z, you're going to see the perspective of who you're supposed to see. But now, we're getting content of, remember, it's not just, the clones. It's not just, the rebels.
In Battlefront.
Yeah, and just like you were saying, Battlefront.
Yeah, it's like this one guy who's copy-pasting their brothers.
They start off as clones,
yeah,
but
the
they
amount
grow.
of depth that they went into on the clones is insane. And in the actual series, if you look at the prequel movie, they don't go into it at all. But then you get to learn like specific clones, like Fives, Captain Rex, of course, like Fives, Echo, like there's all these different characters.
Number 99.
99.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I did love that.
Was so cool.
So
man.
You know what? And I'm glad you guys are like hopping on this conversation too. Like, so my thing is, I love the fact that they expressed it. The Phase 2 clone troopers, during that phase, the strand started separating a lot because I mean, you're copying a strand of DNA. Like, it's gonna eventually, and
thousands of times over.
Yeah, so that's what.
Copy of the copy, it's gonna be less true than the original.
So now the disobedience, which I mean it still existed, but the uniform, the formality, that's no longer gonna start happening. These guys are gonna develop a personality. which you're trying to ignore.
Because they're still clones from Phase 1 that are lasting, and they grow up and they kind of
they're gonna see these new guys
differences in themselves.
Yeah, like,
and they're clones, but they're clones of humans. And human nature, we want individualism. We want to be different. We want to be our own.
It goes against.
Yeah,
it actually reminds me
to not be like individual.
Yeah, you're not gonna go and you're not gonna see a human literally just like a robot. And you know what's funny? And the greatest thing about this is what you've seen in let's just say after Order 66, right? You had now all of a sudden these troopers that had personality and individual thoughts all reported to a chip. They're no longer human. They are droids.
They took over. Yeah.
They are a humanoid droid. That is exactly what it is. You know what I mean? It's a new version of a droid because now they're answering to a chip. There's no individuality. There's no planning anymore. You're gonna, hey, I'm gonna fight for the Empire. I don't care if I die. I'm gonna die for the Empire. That is not a thought when you're battling, you know? You're trying to survive. You want less casualties than your enemy. So, that's the funniest thing, like, when you're talking about that conversation now, you know, you don't have a Rex that's trying to save his guys. You don't have, like, an Anakin trying to save his troopers.
Well,
you just have
to think about the production rates. You know, to make a clone, you have to grow them, you have to train them, you have to groom them, you have to teach them. Like, you
but
are not
aging
an individual. You have to teach them, even though it goes against their very nature that they are not individuals. A droid, you assemble them in any warehouse, you know, tens of thousands of them, and they're already programmed to sacrifice themselves because they know that there's more coming where they came from.
There's no thought.
They make a point, like when they're showing, whenever there's any kind of comic relief, which there's a lot of in the Clone Wars for the droids.
Absolutely, especially the droids, Like, with Grievous just walking in and smacking one when he gets missed. Like,
they're trying to make a point that they're on both sides. Both of their warriors are disposable.
They're expendable,
but
yeah.
They explain that even though they're disposable and they're clones, they're human, they're different. But when you go to the droids, they all talk the same, they all say the same things, they all have the same sense of humor. And they made a very strong point to see the contrast between that. And I think that's cool.
I think the only thing
one of the
that I don't love that there's so much comedic, like, relief from the droids because
because then it leads, like, the droids end up being a complete pushover, just a complete joke in most cases.
And they kind of implies that they have personalities and that they do understand irony and that
but I think that's because they were like, oh
more
shit,
intelligent than
kids
others.
are actually watching this.
right, but like aside from that, like, it just feels a little unrealistic that some droids, even though they are all the same type of droid, are smarter than the other. Like
I remember watching like some of the scenes in the Clone Wars, and there'll be times where like Anakin or Obi-Wan or whoever like comes up to the droids and they're just like, oh no, don't hurt me or whatever. Like, oh no, it's a Jedi, blah blah blah. Like, when in real, you know,
like you wouldn't be feared if you're a droid.
Yeah.
Well, and also the droids will kind of like play on each other in the sense that like one droid will do something stupid and another droid that's the same exact model will be
literally
like,
the same.
Oh well, like he's one of the dumb ones out of the bunch. No, you're all the dumb ones.
Well, they're all programmed separately though.
Yeah, because it depends on what type of droid you're talking about because they phased out as well. So obviously what we seen in the first film, they reported under the same exact command, which was the command ship, which was the Separatist ship. Once that went down, obviously you see the droids was shut down. Now, they learned their lesson after losing that battle. They went, hey, we got to make a droid that they can kind of function on their own.
Kind of function independently,
yeah. So, obviously now, I still agree with that they're still a droid. They still have the same computing aspect and everything. I think there is still a little bit of a significant difference, especially when you're talking about a commander versus, security droid.
Alright, yeah, that's a good point.
You know what I mean? Because the commander's meant to be able to oversee and conquer the battlefield on his own, God forbid, you know. So, it is that aspect that, I think is what's there. But, at the same time, there is scenes that it's a, same exact model and everything going back towards each other going, oh, stupid droid, like, or something. And it's like, yo, like... You're the same exact thing. Like, chill out. Like, you ain't, you really aren't like, you aren't anything. You are literally the same exact thing. Yeah. So.
Well, but that's the thing. They're kind of their whole programming is to do what men are meant to do. So they're trying to be, I think that might actually be excused as them just trying to humanize themselves as much as possible. They don't want to think of themselves as droids. They want to think of themselves as warriors with emotions and, you know, like they want to be people so badly. But at the end of the day, if they're programmed
I think if they really wanted to be people, they would not be working for the Empire. I think
but they're droids, like they're just
well, they were separatists at that.
Yeah.
They could. There's no way they could ever get out of that at all.
You know what I mean? Like they could just get deactivated, simple.
And none of them really. You could tell none of them wanted to. Well,
I'm gonna argue though, because I think the same idea could be posed to the clones because of the way that they were groomed
and since they're human, a lot of them did break off.
And yet, because they are human, and if like the droids really wanted to be human, they could follow in the same footsteps, and yet they didn't.
You know what? Here goes a good question. And I'm, you know, yeah, they could have gone their own footstep, and some of them did exactly what Brian just said. Let's just say, because you know what,
their programming and their chips or whatever, it overrides everything. Whatever they want to do, they can't do.
Yeah, so
I don't even think it allows them to like even think that far into it, because I don't know if they really have the capacity to have that kind of deep thought.
Yeah, I don't even think they're able.
I don't think it's possible.
I don't think they want.
Because like it would be really interesting if I don't know if it's happened in the extended war or anything like that. Has there ever been a case where like a droid like kind of like betrays the Separatists and like joins like the clones in the Republic?
Never.
That would be so interesting. Yeah,
but
it's impossible.
But obviously, droids are going to be way deeper with their programming to stay in a certain frame of thought.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
So here goes where my question's going with, you know, the clones like that really did think after the chip activated, because we know, you know, literally that there are clones out there that, you know, just didn't obey the chip. Do you think that was truly the clone, or was it the Force? Because the Force, remember, the Force is within every living organism, and they are a living organism. So now, is the Force just, you know, a little bit stronger with these specific clones?
I think
but like you could blame the Force on anything.
Like, yeah, that's what I'm just speaking as a.
You could fall over and be like, "Oh, it was the Force. It wasn't me." Ha ha ha.
Well, since they're operated by chips, there's always going to be like chips that are programmed like with flaws in them or something like that.
Again,
or
going back,
that just break over time.
They're humans, right? So they develop like attachments to their generals, like General Skywalker and Captain Rex, right? Same thing with Cody and Obi-Wan. Obviously, these people are close. They fought in
and they all have respect.
Yeah, they're more than just like comrades. They're friends. Like they're literally like they've been through a lot together. Yeah, exactly. Not only with clones. Exactly. Not even clone to clone, like clone like to Jedi. Like, and even seeing like when Ahsoka and Rex escape, like the fact that like they, even when you see in Rebels, I haven't seen Rebels, but I've seen the scene in Rebels where they meet. Like they remember each other, they hug each other. They're like it's like meeting like an old friend again after like decades of not seeing them. Like they're capable of having this like this like deep thought, and the chip is what like made them. It just, again, going back to they literally just turned into droids. Like it made them lose any like sentimental attachment. Like Cody wanted to kill Obi-Wan. Same, you know, like if Rex didn't get the chip removed, like he would have wanted to kill Ahsoka. He did at first, and then, you know, same thing. He would have tried to hunt down Skywalker or whatever. You know, trying to do that, but obviously he was doing his own thing. It's just like I don't know where I'm going with it, but basically like saying like they're capable of that, where the droids are not, and the Order 66 and the chip, like,
I get what you're saying.
Chip,
would you rather be controlled? If you had to be controlled in a war setting, controlled by a chip where you have more will and freedom and the chip is more fallible, or would you rather be like your whole entire body is a circuit board and wires and metal that is solely made, like not designed, well, designed obviously, but the clones are optimized humans and the droids are designed.
Yeah,
they're droids.
I think the body of a clone is more functional, but I think the body of a droid is like you don't feel pain. Period.
But also,
So
no
this
one
proves
feels regret or sorrow when they're like cutting you down.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, the point I was trying to make before. Go ahead.
yeah, that's exactly what I was like saying. The thing that made that such an unbalanced fight was no one felt bad like I guess killing a droid. No one felt bad,
No.
but you
droids
have more of a
didn't feel
chance.
bad killing a clone.
Exactly, that's the cool thing is that they're balanced. But if someone else had to kill a clone, there's a higher chance of being like, wait a minute, this is actually a person, and
the point.
That might be
person.
like a psychological tactic used by the Jedi, used by the Senate, which like I think there's a lot of psychology behind like the choice of clones versus like just
Yeah, because instead of Palpatine getting clones, Palpatine could have also made an army of droids for the Republic. But they went with clones, like the copies of the
the
humans.
First Order just grabbed babies from home.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep,
like
just
that
straight up.
was
Which-
the thing to do because they wanted anyone to relate to the First
I
Order.
was-
So anyone would sympathize.
Well,
Yeah,
here
I
goes
was
my thing
planning to
too,
bring up-
which, for First Order sake, like when we get into that subject, like you know, there were orphans, and oh my God, if you guys have not read Phasma, like I suggest reading Phasma. Like I'm keeping it real with you guys. That's why I fell in love with Captain Cardinal and everything. So. Yeah, they're taken as orphans. They never got to truly meet their family. On certain occasions, some of them did. But majority of them really didn't have that chance. So...
Because they have nothing to loot. Like, at that point, they
don't know their family.
Well, and, you know, if you think that's cruel, like...
Well, no.
Jedi did the same thing.
Well, no. Yeah, in a sense. Like, and, I mean, yeah, it's true. The Jedi really did. The thing is, about that, there was nothing to... They fought for the person right next to them. That was their family member. And I think that's a little bit different than you having a clone. Either way, that you're kind of doing the same thing. Like, you're like, hey...
They fought for each other, though.
Well, yeah, because they looked at each other as brothers. Absolutely. But the thing is, again, nobody truly... They knew they were clones. They knew they were exactly identical. So, in a sense, you're still coming up to almost the same argument as, hey, we were developed. We weren't natural. You know what I mean? These guys know, these guys as First Order guys, like either way, you know, they're brainwashed to a T, absolutely. And then you have somebody like Phasma doing your final teachings to be a killer who is an ultimate killer on her planet. I mean, if you, again, you need to know her story, and I hate the way they killed her in Last Jedi, because now knowing her as a character, she is 10 times better of a character than she was on The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi. For the little time that you see her. So, with that, they literally fought because the only family they had was legitimately the humans that stood next to them.
Well, I also would like to sort of point out that I think that the reason that they were clones is not just so that, like, it wasn't just for them to see their other clones as brothers, but as themselves. They literally had to put themselves in each other's shoes because this was you. You're staring at yourself.
True.
What would you do for your brother?
Yeah,
for
like you're kind of saving yourself, yeah.
You have to save your brother because it's what you would expect of them to do to you. And of course, every now and then you have some examples where, like in the episode with 99, it's, you know, like they kind of like shoved him aside. He was kind of like the weird guy, and like, you know, they would sort of like push through without going back and you know, they would leave a brother behind. And then they like learned like that is against clone protocol. You have to go back and save them because all in all, you're not just losing your brother, but like the military is losing a soldier, and that is way too high of a risk.
Yeah, they never looked at it, again, at each other as soldiers and expendable. Either way that they did, there's certain occasions that they did say that.
Yeah.
You know, like they did, like, well, they're not going to come back for us. We're expendable. You hear that a lot.
Well, and then Plo
Koon,
Koon,
even like in like,
Koon
I was about to say that. I was about to say that. Yeah. It was towards the beginning, I think, the Malevolence or whatever, right? And the Plo Koon gets stuck in like.
That was like the first episode.
Yeah.
It was like one of the first like actual arc or whatever.
It wasn't the first, but it was in the first season.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Dude, it's
and
like the second. Like, it's literally the second episode.
We're dead out here. You know, the only reason they come looking for us were just clones. And he's, you know, he was staying optimistic. He was like, not to me.
That's a really cool scene. And Plo Koon consistently cares about the clones.
That was the first like time I ever met Plo Koon. Like I saw him as a character. I'm like, this guy's legit, dude. He's awesome.
I've always loved Plo Koon, and you know what? That's a great touch. Like with Clone Wars, they made those side characters that you always seen that are Jedi Masters. You literally got to see as a character and why they are the person they are.
One of my favorite things.
Take for example, Luminara Unduli.
Yes.
You know, you could have never seen anything. She was just supposed to be sort of like a throwaway design that's like vaguely racist and like kind of attractive that they were trying to throw in there. And then suddenly she's got this like very strict moral code that she's like sort of trying to transfer onto Ahsoka through a few episodes. So she becomes a very like important part of, and not just her as well, but her Padawan Baris Ofi, who's also slowly like starting to influence Ahsoka on learning that she can't save everyone, that she has to accept that some people are just without her reach.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite things about the Clone Wars was how they made the other Jedi that are in there, like Ki-Adi Mundi.
Yeah.
He's an awesome character.
Is he the one that's allowed to have sex?
I'm not sure. He just has a very large head. He has good.
Oh, that was a
Okay,
giant
so
head.
I do want to talk about him a little bit because I like did
Go
look
for
into him a little. He's kind of the funniest character.
Wait, how is he allowed to have sex?
So here's the thing. The Jedi, this kind of goes back to like they are hypocrites. They are like not as
They make
severe
exceptions
as-
a lot.
They make a lot of exceptions. They tend to cherry pick, and
I think that was their fall. That was their biggest.
he was one
People
of those
losing faith.
examples because his race was it took far too long. It took a long time for them to like rebuild their population. So whatever viable specimen that they had that were able to reproduce were allowed to, and he, even though he was a Jedi, was allowed to reproduce.
Huh.
That's
Okay.
interesting.
And
know.
I did like read
wasn't
George
for-
Lucas did say like a while back, he did say in an interview that Jedi are allowed to have like non-attached sexual relations.
From fornication, like for reproduction.
Right.
not for
So that was
pleasure.
like one of those examples.
That's interesting because I have thought of that, but I wasn't sure if that was really, because I think force sensitivity, well, force sensitive children, it can be seen as like the end of the family tree, like right there, like once a force sensitive child is born, but also it's genetic. So you would need like Luke Skywalker, a result of reproduction of a Jedi. However, his was romantic and pleasurable. In fact, he was an accident. Leia and Luke were accidents. but
I mean,
how it worked out.
But also
yeah.
with that, like, Luke, in a sense, recreated what the Jedi thought. Because at the end of the day, what was he taught? He wasn't taught that. Yeah, because
he
at the end
had
of the day, stuff is going to adapt.
Mm.
And that's one of those things that it's going to happen. It's gonna
He was
adapt.
He was forced to think differently because he didn't. There were holes in everything. Because remember, like, he has the Jedi text, but he didn't really bother reading all of them or anything. Rey did though. That's one of the interesting things because Rey.
Well, no, he did read it because even Yoda told him. He was like, "You read them. You know, they're not page turners, but
he
you have
asked
read
him
them."
if he read them, and it was supposed to be rhetorical because he knows that Luke did not read all of them. Luke read them, of course he read them, but not all of them, not every single page. Page turners they are not. But Rey, it's like all the Jedi texts that were left that she had access to, that she could get her hands on, but like in between The Rise of Skywalker and The Last Jedi. She read them and she kind of picked, she kind of did what Luke did, but in a different way because she took the original Jedi Order, like I guess rulebook, and compared it to what Luke did with it, and kind of like, okay, how did that work out on both ends, and kind of made it her own thing. And I guess that's kind of what led for her to become a great Jedi, because they don't really talk about the dark side in the original Jedi archive or texts at all.
Well, I don't even.
And so are the Jedi. Like they both kind of their time was over, and it was time that Force was just Force.
Well, no. Here goes one thing. In my aspect, I don't think it's that it didn't exist. It's okay. The Sith died off. There's only Jedi left. Clearly, it was Luke. Now, anybody who wields the Force is a Jedi in the mindset, because nobody truly knew what a Jedi was because they were all extinguished.
Well, Kylo Ren wasn't a Jedi, but he also wasn't Sith.
Well, I think
he was literally a Sith.
What happened to the Force is the same thing that happens to all ancient religions, is that over time it starts to evolve into something that it was never to begin with.
Yeah.
Well, wait, were you saying that Kylo Ren's a Sith?
He absolutely is, and tell me otherwise.
No, he's not.
No. Listen.
He's not
the Knight of Ren.
No. Watch. Here goes my thing. He had true intentions of killing someone.
He wanted to be Sith.
Yes, and he actually did.
That doesn't make him Sith. He's
not I wouldn't say I wouldn't say because of the dark side. But okay, what truly makes you a Sith?
Well, there's a couple things, because you need
killing your master.
There's a lot of tradition in the Sith. There's a lot of tradition in that.
But at this time, there's no true thing.
Well, the Sith always coming too. Who was the second one?
Palpatine was always there.
No, but he wasn't Palpatine. He was Snoke.
He was Snoke.
Snoke wasn't Sith. Kylo Ren is Kylo Ren. He's not even a Knight of Ren. He's the head of the. Well, I guess he kind of is a Knight of Ren, but he's the head of the Knights of Ren.
Right,
well, if you read that comic series, no, he's literally runs that.
Have you ever seen him use Force lightning?
Well, not every Sith had to use Force lightning, because
they didn't have to.
Did Anakin?
No, he didn't.
Did Maul?
Yeah, exactly. Did Maul? No, because they were never taught.
Did.
No, he was never taught.
He did like once.
I don't know.
No, he was never taught.
Never in the film, certainly.
Not in the film. No.
Yeah. Maybe.
That might have been in like a Legends book. I don't remember it being not canonical.
I could imagine. I don't know what it was about like the Clone Wars that made the creators like decide to keep bringing Maul back and making him cooler, like constantly.
Yeah, they used him too much,
just,
man.
like revamping his character constantly with the spider legs and then giving him like.
Well, he just.
I feel like he deserved it. Yeah, his story's always upsetting story. It's always gonna be he's gonna rise up and proven to fail again. As much as he is determined, everything like that, he will always rise and fall. That is his story.
All I'm saying is I wouldn't put it past the creators to give him like every fucking power, like every Force ability, because they just were like, oh well, let's just like bring him back one more time. This time he has new robot legs. This time he's got like 4 arms. Like they just constantly were just
but that was also just that was fan service, because
had to go.
I mean, you seen this awesome dude show up on screen. And
by far one of the best designs,
honestly,
one of the best character designs for Star Wars.
Such a waste that they killed him immediately in episode 1.
It is.
He should have been like the Sith.
That's
like
how I feel
Dooku
about Qui-Gon Jinn, though.
Dooku is awful. Like, I'm sorry.
Okay,
he's one of my
you know what? I'm glad you're saying this. So
I think he's cool. Like I think he belongs in Lord of the Rings, where he starts. But like I think he's definitely a cool like actor. The character, enough of the posh white man like.
When compared to Maul, like come on, yeah, like compare Darth Maul to like Count Dooku. Like Darth Maul should have been that.
Well, Dooku had reasoning.
Character design.
Dooku did have reasoning.
How many of these men can we possibly have? We have
But they're all conceited. That's the point.
Tarkin. We have Krennic. We have Vader.
Thrawn.
We have on and on and on. This goes.
Tarkin is the most comparable to Dooku, I think, in like the way that they carried themselves and everything. And Tarkin.
Yeah,
was
I think he's
very
like the military
power.
version of Dooku.
Yeah. Shit. What was I gonna say?
Okay, wait, hold up. So, person in chat just said, also Rey uses lightning to bring down the transport ship and was never taught. Absolutely. But she was literally meant to be another Goku. She was always supposed to be this strong-ass thing because Literally, that was Palpatine's bloodline.
She was in touch.
He was gonna let her do whatever she wanted because he manipulated the Force. So yeah, he's gonna give her every power. No.
But you have to remember also that like every decision that was made for Rey's character was done on a whim. That was done like impulsively. Like how can we save this? How can we make this better than the last movie was? How many twists can we put in? Like
how can we undo?
Her character was not well thought out.
Well, no, yeah, I get that. It just also, like I said, in this aspect, this is something that, you know, Palpatine just was manipulating the Force so he can, again, you knew his outcome was to take over somebody's body. We obviously, if you're going to go by what Disney's putting out, he was meant to just take over the body. That's it. That's why he wanted Anakin so bad. That's, you know, and it didn't work. He wanted Luke because it was Anakin's blood and it was a pure body. Didn't work. Now, what else is he going to go after?
Trying to be another Darth Plagueis, because Darth Plagueis,
he was possessing.
Wasn't his original body.
Yeah, he was just possessing bodies. That's all he's doing. He needed something that would have held his body. So Rey is that perfect example. Something that was, in a sense, made because again, it was a clone of him. What? His son is a clone, technically, and then, you know, his son's body couldn't handle it and didn't want to be nothing of it, so his son disappeared, and then now you have a kid, and then now your kid is able to wield the Force, and
that whole thing pissed me off.
And the thing is, he can manipulate the Force. So what is he gonna do? He's gonna manipulate the Force to give somebody strong power, so he could try to take over that body. That's the only reason Rey had that.
The most unrealistic part of like that turn of the story is that like the idea that anyone would have sex with Palpatine.
Well, technically, he was. I think they said that.
No, his son was created. It was a clone.
Yeah, he was created.
It wasn't.
It would have been more realistic for the story if they said that maybe Rey was like a failed development of like Sheev, and maybe like with the like genes and stuff, it turned out to be a woman or whatever. I don't know, but that even would have been more realistic than saying, "Oh, Palpatine had a kid." And
like he created this kid, it was gonna be his son, and then he claimed it was his son, and then all of a sudden his son defected, and
But now Palpatine's created son is just out there.
No, he died. Remember, he gets murdered. Yeah, remember he gets murdered by the dagger and everything too.
Oh yeah. Now I get it.
So, yeah, I don't fully like that kind of outcome. I would have preferred something else.
It was kind of hard for me to pay attention to the last film. I have ADD, and that was like getting whiplash. Like every time you
so much going on at once.
Scene.
Yeah, there's a new thing happening, or
Lando comes. Like, how about the fan service when Lando came out of nowhere?
Yeah, like, oh, you could spot a Wookiee from a crowd. Like, I understand Wookiees are few of none now, but like, dude.
But that was.
What's the coincidence that he's just sitting on this planet when they're having their, 100th anniversary, whatever?
And how did everyone find this previously, like, completely unknown corner of the galaxy? Suddenly, everyone has the coordinates.
Well, no, remember that was because
Luke
Kylo.
Was trying to go there.
No, well that, and then remember Kylo was what is it called? Using that weird telepathy thing that. No, he did the weird telepathy thing with Rey, and then that's how we figured out, because then they took the scans of the necklace she was wearing that one of the things gave her, and then figured out it was this planet. It wasn't an unknown planet because they known about this, because First Order was already patrolling there as well.
They ended up there though because that one guy who had the dagger, and they were looking for that. I don't know, like
he worked for the Empire. There was history there already.
Yeah, I forget what that guy's name was that they were trying to find that fell through the.
It was that Imperial
yeah,
assassin or something.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. But Luke was actually trying to find him initially, and for some reason he couldn't, and he just like gave up. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I didn't fully like what they did with Luke. Again, like me personally,
I didn't like how they ended.
I don't personally. I mean, I never really, again, and it's not because he's a bad character. It's just, is he one of my favorites? Absolutely not. Like, I honestly wouldn't care.
Did him so wrong.
But I also agree. Like, it didn't make sense. Like, all of a sudden he pulled his way, himself away from the Force. Unless you were gonna do the Mara Jade Legends make it canon and like be like, yeah, exactly. Because if you listen to Mark Hamill when he explains like his mindset of playing Luke in The Last Jedi, the way that he didn't like it, his mindset was like if he lost a loved one due to a lightsaber and everything. Okay, that kind of makes sense, right? Okay, cool. But he doesn't have a loved one that he lost. What, yeah. Ben Solo? Whoop-de-doo, bro. Like, whatever. You're not gonna...
Shame would not bring Luke that low. Because even though
exactly.
Luke was ashamed and Luke failed...
He wouldn't literally put himself in exile because he failed once. But like, Luke failed as literally throughout his whole time.
This is nothing new. This is not a new situation. You know, as I said before, with Yoda and Count Dooku, like, Yoda still is a part of the Jedi Council. Like, one failed student out of how many is not
gonna stop you. Yeah, but Luke also didn't know because Luke was new. You know what I mean? This is all new.
Luke was not trying to... When he ignited his lightsaber, when he was standing over Kylo Ren, I think that was actually not an act with like violence behind it. I think that was more of an act because he was like startled.
I think he tried to kill him. I think he tried to kill him.
I don't, because I think
he definitely...
We're leaving prequel territory at this
moment.
Well,
we're not talking about prequels in this episode.
Yeah, this one is...
We're very far from it. So I'm thinking it's 9 o'clock. Maybe we should wrap up soonish.
Yeah, I'd say another 10 minutes, because we're at 51 minutes right now.
What was that?
We're at 51 minutes right now, so I mean, give it another 10.
Alright, yeah.
They were both about an hour.
Like, I feel like we should, like,
finish
leave this for when we are touching upon the sequel. Portion.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
But let me just say real quick, because when I read The Rise of Kylo Ren,
which is still very great.
It's a great comic. They revisited that whole scene much more in depth, and to me, it looked, because Luke was afraid, like Luke was terrified, and I think he was having all kinds of visions and stuff, and especially since Kylo Ren was someone who was so emotionally close to him, he was especially afraid because he saw that Kylo Ren had resentment for Luke that he was developing over time, and I think he just got startled and freaked out, and it was just like an act of fear.
It was in the moment. He let the dark side take him.
I don't think he turned to the dark. I don't think that's what happened.
No, he didn't turn to the dark side, but he let the dark side win. That's what happened.
Yeah,
and
that's what he did after he gave up and just was like, okay, Kylo Ren's a bad guy now. Let me go hide on this island. Yeah,
I just, like I said, I didn't like that take. It didn't make sense. No. Unless they would have truly brought Mara Jade as, canon, that would have been the only way I would have been like, okay, this makes sense. But
Kylo Ren did kill all the other students.
No, he killed 3.
Well, he killed 3.
Except for the other Knights of Ren.
The Knights of Ren, no, Knights of Ren were already a thing before that. Yeah, if you read the comic book, they're already a thing. So
I did miss out on the comic.
It's a 4-thing comic, I know, but they're already a thing. What he did was kill the 3. Remember that they thought that what happened, he never truly destroyed the temple. It was technically Snoke or whatever that did that. And he was trying to go back in to save the temple, and it exploded, and then he ran away. Everybody assumed it was him. Either way, technically he started it. He didn't want it to be that way, but he started it, and they blamed him, and they went and chased after him, and he's like, I don't want to do this. And he ends up killing them because he thinks that's the way he would have entered the Knights of Ren.
Well, him entering the Knights of Ren was always something he was interested in.
Well, yeah, but remember, they were like, oh, you can't just join, you gotta have a good kill or whatever. And
I think it was kind of weak, the way that they sort of, turned Kylo. I think, just, this idea of him,
to the light side, you mean?
No, to the dark. The idea of him, being, scared that his own, him kind of, I hate
I wouldn't say he's scared.
It had a big build-up, though.
I hate when they try to make villains into victims. Like, let him just be evil because he thinks it's cool.
Well, it was.
But you know what? I also like this take because it's like, yo, out of everybody, besides, like, obviously everybody knows, you know, Palpatine was truly evil, you know, but you have Vader. What did he do? He was trying to protect his wife, didn't work out. Cool. You have Darth Maul that was just literally made as an assassin, and, you know, he's animalistic. Because he was. The way he's pacing, wanting to kill Obi-Wan, you know, he was just pure evil.
No, he legit lost his mind.
Yeah, like, you know, he was built that way. Like, that's what he was meant to do. He was meant to kill. So, like, and then now it's just revenge. And then you go and look at Dooku. Dooku became a Sith because of Qui-Gon dying. Besides, he already left, because he left the Order, which is like, okay, whatever. But he truly turned because
about Dooku's departure.
If you read Dooku's book, it actually breaks down that he officially transitioned when Qui-Gon died. And because obviously he trained Qui-Gon and, you know, stuff like that. Yeah,
well,
so you got to read his book.
That's kind of an interesting thing too about Count Dooku, because I know that in order to become a Sith, you have to kill your mentor, and he did not like have a mentor. It was Yoda. So like, in the fact that he has never killed Yoda, how are they calling him a Sith?
I wouldn't say you have to kill your mentor, because, I mean, in a sense,
like a part of their religion.
That's what you have to do to become.
Well,
like,
yeah, but just like we've just said too, it adapts. I mean, we're talking about the only Sith in 2,000 years. You think you're gonna just come across somebody killing Palpatine after he's been living for however long?
Well,
nah.
It's the religion. It's
I mean,
a tradition when you want to take. When you want to have power over all the Sith, then you would kill your like Darth Vader. The amount of times he has tried to kill Palpatine.
Well, when he's been thinking about it, he's never committed.
No, he has tried.
When?
And failed. Dude, he tried so
Well, that's another conversation. Yeah, that's another conversation.
In the movie.
Well, besides the actual attempts.
I'm talking
attempts, failed attempts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't know this.
Yeah, I want to double check that, because not that I'm saying he's wrong, because I mean, yeah, it's a thing, and again, it all depends on what you're looking at. If you're looking at Legends or canon.
No, I'm looking at canon, because I'm reading Dark Lord of the Sith.
Yeah.
He tried it once in Dark Lord of the Sith so far, but I think he tried it like twice in the original Darth Vader comics, and like really like, and Palpatine kind of encourages it because Palpatine.
Because he wants it, yeah.
He's there. There's no way Darth Vader could kill Palpatine, and Palpatine knows that he could never be bested. He knows that he kind of always has the last word against Vader, so he encourages that because he wants Vader to get frustrated and angry, and he wants him to be fully, deeper into the dark side.
Yeah, he wants him to fully commit. Like, Vader's still on the fence as well. Mm-hmm. Either way, it's revenge, but it's not, you know. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like, because he literally, like, the sole reason was, like, I want to be the Emperor. Like, I want to have full...
Ultimate power, yeah.
Because even in Revenge of the Sith, when he's ranting to Padme about how much power he's going to have, he's like, my new empire, stuff like that. He has the intention of bringing down Palpatine from the very beginning, like from as soon as he becomes...
Well, yes, he talks about it, but yeah, again, that's just some of talks, like...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So...
Because everyone who's Sith just wants ultimate power, that's all they really care about. They don't even care about each other.
Yeah, my thing is just, Dooku, he had reasoning. Again, he had reasoning. The person he not looked up to, but he truly cared about died.
In the Clone Wars, you can tell that Dooku, even though Dooku and Obi-Wan, like, obviously butt heads all the time, there was one episode in particular where they, like, legit help each other out. Because I think Dooku was abducted by pirates.
Yeah,
the
pirates.
Yeah, it's the pirate scene, yeah.
And they legit, like... help each other, and you see a part of Dooku that's
they could have easily cut off his hands. Like, they could have easily just done away with that.
They could have taken down Dooku easily, but
here
Dooku
goes my thing
off his good side there.
With that, and I think it's mentioned in the book. He like it was obviously his death, but like it was the fact that he just didn't agree, and then he was foreseeing what was happening. And honestly, that's why
he wanted to be on the winning side.
You know what's funny? He actually, and I think this is what it is. He foreseen Anakin transitioning. He knew that was the plan. So that's why he was behind Palpatine's back, saying like, "Yo,
He's hopping on the bandwagon."
Yeah, well, as much as you think Dooku's just being a prick and going like, "Hey, bro, like, you know, I'll help you. This is his plan, whatever." He's actually telling him the truth because he foreseen this. Now, in Revenge of the Sith, when Anakin goes and he has the the lightsabers against his throat, and when Palpatine says, "Do it,"
I was just about to talk about that.
That's not a look of like, "Oh, I'm going to die."
That's a look of I was just betrayed.
No, not even that. That look right there was, "Oh my God, what I foreseen, I caused, because he's going to kill me." That kills out of cold blood for absolutely no reason. Yes, he was the pawn in the whole situation, and he knew Palpatine knew his plan.
He was disappointed in himself.
Yep, and he was like, "Wow."
If he was on the right, had he been on the right side, he could have prevented it.
Everything I foreseen and why he has General Grievous and Ahsoka and everything, he was trying to build his own army to get against Palpatine. And then, no, like, Anakin kills him, and he knows in that moment Palpatine knew it was all a betrayal to Palpatine, and Palpatine wasn't going to allow it. And it was like, oh my God, like, he knew, and he was like, "This is what's going to happen. This is the end." And it's not the end of him, it was the end of everything. I mean, the Empire's going to rise. He'd seen all this happening. And then when that happened, guess who was the next one that ended up being that pawn? It was Darth Maul, because that's what you see in Clone Wars at the end, which I'm not trying to spoil it too much for you guys. But he foresees it, and he tells Ahsoka, and Ahsoka blindly disagrees. Because she's like, "Anakin wouldn't do that. Anakin, you know, da-da-da-da-da. Like, you know, I know Anakin. She was blinded and also did the same thing and didn't believe Maul when he was telling her the truth to make a plan to stop him." And again, when you guys watch it, because I don't think, all you guys haven't
finished it.
Cyrus finished? Okay. And did you finish?
I didn't watch the 7th season.
I mean, if you don't care about spoilers.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
I don't care about spoilers.
I'm gonna tell you right now. You literally just watched the last arc.
It's. I mean, I've already watched it. That's my thing. So what it was is that Darth Maul literally was like, "Yo, I've been wanting Obi-Wan. I didn't want you, Ahsoka. Like, why are you here?"
Yeah, his whole plan is he's trying to lure Obi-Wan there.
Yeah,
even though Obi-Wan was ordered, he was sent to whatever planet to kill Grievous.
Yeah, he was literally there to just speak to. He wanted to speak with Obi-Wan and Obi-Wan only, because he was like, Obi-Wan will be the one to, break Anakin out of it, or believe him at that. Like, to just, hey, you can stop this, but it didn't work out. So then he goes and he reads a clone's mind, going like, what is this Ahsoka chick, and how would she help me in any way? And when he reads the mind, he realized that she has an attachment to Anakin as well. So that's when he probes, and he's like, yes, like, Anakin's going to do this. I've foreseen this. This is literally the nightmare I suffer through every day. It's seeing Anakin kill the Jedi and ruin all this, because Darth Maul's not a Sith anymore. He's just a person trying to live. He's trying to get his revenge on Obi-Wan.
His own entity.
But that's his mindset, is getting revenge on Obi-Wan, but he's just trying to survive by this point. And if he can stop that, I mean, it's good. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, because already by this point, he's running Crimson Dawn.
Mm.
It's already happening.
Yeah,
and you see it in that.
Definitely was fulfilling and sustaining for Darth Maul, because if he didn't have Crimson Dawn, I think his fate would have been much worse.
So that you see it there, like, he's literally talking to them. So it's like, oh, cool, all right, there goes that mix up. But the thing is, like, he didn't want the Empire to go, because he knows this is going to happen. So he wanted Obi-Wan, but then he's talking to Ahsoka, and Ahsoka was literally going to take his hand, because he told her everything. This is what's going to happen. The Empire's going to, there's going to be an Empire that rises. The clones are going to betray the Jedi, da-da-da-da-da. But then it's like, but who do we need to stop, basically? And he's like, it's Anakin. He's the one that's going to do it. And she's like, no. And that's when they go into their lightsaber battle.
Well, they just can't. She just can't believe it.
She's blinded.
You can't tell Ahsoka that Anakin is the guy who is your true enemy at the end of the day.
Yeah, but
She
that's the
cannot-
problem. He didn't know that. He just hoped that, you
She
know,
would go
the
with it.
connection would have just helped.
Spark something, yeah.
Yes, and that's what's also upsetting.
Certainly
All right, guys.
interesting.
I
But
think we're yes,
Yeah.
we're at
Yeah,
the,
we're right at that.
that's a
Oh,
good place to end right there, because
yeah.
as intriguing as Star Wars will always be, I think that right there is a place that we could leave off.
I think 2 hours is pretty good.
Yeah,
so we
I
got
2 hours total, yeah.
Yeah, we covered a
yeah,
lot.
yeah.
So hold on, I'm
it
gonna
was
cut
really,
it.